A couple of special guests on the average, guys. First of all, let me say, John, where are you? My partner, Johnny D's not here, so you guys get just me to ask the questions. First of all, Bernie Gerl, former Duluth Duke, and Ron Orlandi, former Superior Blue.
Right.
Well, guys, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Ron, let's start with you. Talk about your early days getting into baseball and then playing with Superior and playing on this field at one time. Really.
Sure. Well, you know, right out of high school is when most of us got started, and I was assigned by the Washington Senators and sent down to Emporia, Virginia to play for them. Then they shipped me to other places during the next few years. So I've been around since 1948.
And then you played with the Superior Blues when?
I played with the Superior Blues after being in the Korean War in 1953.
And what position did you play primarily?
I was a catcher.
You were? Okay.
Right.
Well, Bernie, that leads to my next question. You were, talk about your baseball career. You were a catcher as well, weren't you?
I was a catcher, too. We had one difference. I was blind then. I wore glasses then.
Yeah, he did. That's right.
Well, in fact, I understand I was the first catcher to wear glasses in professional baseball. I don't know that to be a fact, but that's what I hear.
Well, Saturday morning, July 24th, 1948.
Yes, I just celebrated the 58th anniversary of that event. I don't know if I celebrated, but I recalled it. And that day, my kids come over to the house, and I said, "Do you guys know what today is?" And they said, "Yes, we sure do, Dad." And it brought back memories. And at this point, I do believe that I am one of only two survivors, and the other one, as far as I know, still being alive, is Joe Svetlik, who lives out in California. And I had been in touch with all of them through all these years until they all kept passing away one at a time. The last being Don Gilmore, and prior to that, Red Shandies, and then prior to him, Mel McGahey.
For our viewers, we're talking about the July 12th, 1948, a fiery bus crash with the Duluth Dukes baseball team on board. You were traveling from Eau Claire to St. Cloud, or?
That's right. We were traveling from Eau Claire to St. Cloud, and I can remember that I was awake and alert because Sam Page, who was from St. Paul, told me, "Bernie, I live down this street a little bit." And from what I understand, the accident happened just very shortly after that.
Your manager, George Treadwell, was the driver of the bus.
George was the driver of the bus. He shared the driving responsibilities with Peterson, but they both paid for their lives with that wreck.
You still live in Duluth?
Yes, I do. I live in Duluth. I'm really most of my career is in Superior, Wisconsin, where I taught art and also coached baseball for approximately 29 years.
And again, we're with former baseball legends, Ron Orlandi and Bernie Gerl. Bernie, after baseball, what type of work did you get involved with?
My brother was working for Coca-Cola, and he said, "Come on, Bernie, I'll get you a job." And he got me a job with Coke. I was a helper on a truck delivering Coke. 5 years later, he was working for me, and 38 years later, I retired from the Coca-Cola Bottling Company of Chicago as vice president. And I never did move from Joliet, which was a suburb of Chicago.
What about back when Coke tried that new recipe? Maybe back in the 80s? I don't recall when it was. Do you recall, were you working with the company back then?
I sure was.
Was that a big mistake?
Well, I'll tell you what it did. They tried to rejuvenate Coca-Cola, the Coca-Cola business. And when they put out new Coke, it was rejected so soundly that everybody demanded Coca-Cola back, and it gave Coca-Cola a big, big boost.
So it was a PR move?
It worked out that way, but I didn't believe it was planned that way.
And where's home today, Bernie?
Still in Joliet, in the same house I got married in.
Huh. You ever get out to see a Jackhammers game?
I sure do. Saw one this year, and we see quite a few Jackhammers games.
Bernie, if you could talk about just a few memories from your days with the Dukes, some of the maybe special games, special events, things with maybe some of the fans.
Oh, there's a lot of things that happened. I was just telling my friend here that there's one thing happened to me in this park that I've never seen happen in baseball, and I don't know if anybody even had an opportunity to have it happen. I caught 3 pop flies in 1 inning, and I don't know anybody even had an opportunity to do that. That 3 outs in 1 inning.
As a catcher.
As a catcher.
Now, I understand that there's a photograph of you taking out Roger Maris at home plate.
Yes, I've got that photograph at home.
Where was that photograph taken? Where was that at?
It was taken in Duluth here.
It was?
Yes, and
Okay, well,
it's got to be in their archive somewhere.
Yeah.
It's just as plain as could be. Roger Maris is just a little old quiet farm boy. I used to be very talkative as a catcher, and I couldn't get much of a word out of Maris. He was a very quiet individual.
What years did you play for the Dukes?
I played in 48, 52, and 53.
Okay. Ron, I don't recall if you were with the Blues when they... You weren't here when they played the first game at Wade Stadium, were you?
Yeah, I think I was. I think I was. Now, I met the team, actually, I met the team in Eau Claire from Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, when they shipped me up there, and then we came up here. So I'm not sure if that was the first series at all. It's very possible that it was not the first series, but I always thought it was, see?
Now, you wearing a New York Mets hat, and that's not a southern Minnesota accent you have.
I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York, and I still consider that kind of my hometown, and I go back every year so I don't lose my accent.
Well, guys, I'm going to ask you, as young kids growing up, who were some of your baseball heroes? And Ron, I'll start with you.
Yeah, with me, I was a Brooklyn Dodger fan, and of course you know all about Pee Wee Reese and Frankie Robinson and Gil Hodges and all Duke Snyder and so on and so forth. You know, they were part of my young baseball life.
Bernie?
You wouldn't believe it, but I go back to the Big Bambino, and I remember when he come to Joliet the first year after he retired. And he'd come and put on an exhibition, and he still could power the ball. And then on top of that, we had the Chicago Cubs when they were winning baseball team but they haven't been since.
Well, I sure wish my partner Johnny D was here, because Johnny's a huge baseball historian, baseball card collector and what have you. He'd love to be here, but he's not. Guys, thanks so much for your time. Bernie, it's good to see you.
Nice to see you guys.
Yeah, all right. Bernie Gerl. Ron Orlandi. Thanks, Ron. Guys,
you're welcome.
We'll be right back.